Picking a super ultralight backpack can be really overwhelming. You can buy a backpack that looks great, and then when you get on trail, it can be terrible. I want to help you avoid that. I wish I could make a complete list of required stats that if you just followed them, you'd get that perfect backpack. But unfortunately, there are backpacks like the Murmur that violate everything but are still good packs. So in this video, I'm going to lay out some guidelines to aspire to that will just help you sort of guide your way through all the different packs that are online that you could possibly buy. My name on trail is Extra. I've hiked over 13,000 miles. I've almost triple crowned twice, and most of that has been with a backpack that is under 6 pounds base weight. As you can see behind me, I've tried a lot of different backpacks. Some of them have been great and some of them have been terrible. So let's get into the guidelines. The first guideline is you want the backpack to be close to 1 pound. This is the most important guideline. If you find yourself with a backpack that's like 25 ounces and the rest of your gear is ultralight, it really just doesn't make sense to have a backpack like that. And you can get a backpack that's around 1 pound from KS that has a full frame, a full structure, and a hip belt, and it's still around 1 pound. You can, and there's other backpacks that have hip belts if you need that, like the Mountain Laurel Design backpacks, and even the Palante backpacks have a kind of hip belt. But if you're in the below 8 pound base weight, you probably won't need a hip belt. So this is something that you should always return to when buying your backpack is making sure that it's around 1 pound. The second guideline is that it should be around 30 liters. And for people that are in the gram counting sort of stage of ultralight, they'll probably want a backpack that's like 22 liters or something, which is fine. You can flex and have something that's, you know, mid 20 liter backpack. But the reality is, having hiked a lot of these trails with, you know, this one is, I think, 25 or 27 liters. This one is 22 liters. I always want a little more room, because if you're on the Continental Divide Trail, if you think you're going to be doing a food pack that's, you know, around 130 miles, and you want to carry food that has a bit more volume, then you want to have a backpack that's around 30 liters. That way you just always feel like you have enough space, and you can get a backpack that's around 1 pound that's 30 liters. Also, you want to have a backpack that if you're going out and it's going to be a bit colder, you want to carry a 10-degree bag with a puffy, then you're not going to be stressed that it's not going to all fit. The third guideline is that you want it to have Ray Jardine pockets. This is the Rayway backpack designed by Ray Jardine. He's the forefather of ultralight backpacking. And what I mean by having Ray Jardine pockets is simply that it has 2 water bottle pockets on the side and a mesh pocket in the back. If you look at all of these backpacks, almost all of them have this style besides this one. And even if you're looking at something like the Hyperlight backpack, most backpacks now follow this general design, so it's not that hard to get that. But this is sort of like the classic design, and it works. You want to have a big pocket on the back for drying out your gear or carrying some extra stuff, although that annoys me. And then you want to have 2 water bottle pockets that are close to the body. And so if you find yourself looking at a backpack that's just like really uniquely designed, maybe you like the way it looks, but it doesn't have this kind of, the classic pockets, it'll probably not work in some ways that you can't tell once you get on trail. It's probably too complex. Staying with the pocket theme, you want to have a bottom pocket and you want to have shoulder strap pockets. I find that if I have a bottom pocket, I don't need to have a fanny pack, which makes it so that I don't have to spend more weight. It also makes it so that I don't have anything around my stomach, which you just don't want, because you're going to sweat that out, and it's nice to just feel free when you're breathing. And I don't know, I just think the bottom pockets are incredible. Shoulder strap pockets throughout the day when you're hiking, you're gonna wanna check your maps, maybe you'll wanna change a podcast. So you wanna be able to have your phone on your shoulder strap, and you're gonna want, there will be things that you want that you want to be easily accessible, which you'll carry here. I carry sunscreen. You want the backpack to have 2 motions to unhook. So what I mean by that is you unsnap it here, and then you can sort of undo it here, and then you're in. There's quite a few companies now that are making backpacks with what they think is waterproof material. There's no such thing as a waterproof through hiking backpack unless you're gonna get like a dry bag and then it's super heavy. Because the fabric is waterproof, like it's DCF or whatever, they make it so that you roll the top of the backpack here, and then you clip it on this side and you clip it on this side. It's going to become incredibly annoying if every single time you want to open and close your backpack, you have to unclip, unclip, unfurl, and then undo to get into your backpack. And so this is sort of a loose suggestion, but it's way nicer to have a backpack that you can just open in 2 motions. The third is that you want to have a rucksack. Almost all of the backpacks here are rucksacks. What that means is that there's 1 pocket inside. This is just the way it's been forever, and we know that it works. It might be like a little daunting because you'll be like, well, how do you organize all the things in your bag? If you're hiking day after day, you will figure out a way to organize your bag with 1 pocket. And that also allows you, before you go out and hike, you can sort of smush it and then get it on your back and in the way that feels most comfortable. The last is sort of a contradiction. You don't want to have a hip belt. If you need a hip belt, then have a backpack with a hip belt that puts more of the weight on your hips, because you have sort of there's an injury on your back, or your back hurts easily. Just if you're going to get a hip belt, buy a backpack that's still around 1 pound, which as I suggested is the KS or like the Mountain Laurel Designs. Before getting into specific examples, I just want to have a little bit of conversation about fabrics and sort of what can vary and what can't. I don't think that backpacks should be made out of DCF. In order to have a backpack that is durable enough to last a through hike, you need to use a DCF that is fairly thick, and that's what Hyper Light Mountain Gear uses. Also, I think that a lot of these new tech fabrics like Ultra, they're I don't know if you can see it, but it started to like come undone at the top here. These new fabrics, they either have been tested and they have some fatal flaw, or they haven't been tested and the companies are just sort of putting them out because people are buying them. I think it makes more sense to just stick to the fabrics that we know work. The VOX, the Robic, that's just my opinion. The other part is, if you want to get a backpack with vest straps, then get a backpack with vest straps. Just, again, make sure that it stays around 1 pound, assuming that your base weight is in the 7 pound or below area. Before going into the examples, I made a little handout of like sort of my top 5 recommendations for backpacks, tents. I'm still working on rain gear, etc., but it's a handout that gives all the weights and the stats and has photos of the backpack that you can sort of follow along in this video with, as well as it's just something that you can have while you're looking for backpacks, and I'll leave that in the description. Both of these backpacks, the Palantes, are on this handout. I've used both of these backpacks for like thousands of miles on each backpack. I think that Palante is one of the best brands for ultralight backpacks. They've thought of all of the little things. I made another video on the ultralight and the Joey, just sort of loving on them, but talking about some of the little things that I think don't really work. But most of their backpacks the ultralight and the Joey don't come with a hip belt, but most of their backpacks come with a hip belt, so that when you're walking out of town and you have a bunch of food, you can put some of that weight onto your hips. Metaphysics is the company of the guy Johnny Z, who used to work for Palante. He started his own company. I think he is a brilliant designer. This backpack, which is the Grasshopper, he used to call it the Jan Sport, violates most of the guidelines. It does have a bottom pocket. This is like 22 liters. Do not buy this backpack unless your base weight is like 5 pounds. But he's come out with a new backpack. I think it's called the Karen, or it is what the Renee was. If you want to get a backpack from him, you'll probably have to contact him, like DM him to get a backpack. I don't know when the Renees are coming out, but if you buy a backpack from Johnny Z, you know that it's been really field tested by someone who's done a lot of through hiking, and you know that everything will be like pretty perfect. We've already gone over the Rayway backpack. You can get a sewing kit off of Ray Jardine's website and sew your own backpack, or you can go on Reddit and see if someone else has sewn his backpack. They're great backpacks. They're a great first backpack. They're a wonderful flex. Whenever I see someone on trail that has a Ray Jardine backpack, I run up to them and I'm like, have you read Beyond Backpacking? And I'm super excited. But they're sort of the beginning. And so it's like having a older car that doesn't have all the fun little features, but that you can you love it because it is that older car. The last backpack that I have to show you is not released yet. It's by Metaphysics. I was hounding Johnny Z for probably over a year. I even made a video where I was like, somebody should make a sub 10 ounce backpack.
Why,
And
if you're going to have a 6 pound base weight, should you have a backpack that's 14 ounces? A company really needs to make a backpack that's under 10 ounces for super ultralight through hikers.
And finally, Johnny Z at Metaphysics made me what I think is the perfect backpack. This is under 10 ounces. It has a bottom pocket. Look at how big that bottom pocket is. It has the Ray Jardine pockets, and it has shoulder strap pockets. It has foam shoulder straps, as opposed to, if you look at, a lot of these backpacks now, they're making their shoulder straps out of like this 3D mesh, which I just don't think is as comfortable as having a thick foam shoulder straps. And Johnny Z agrees. And so I haven't taken out this backpack yet. I'm totally in love. It has a sort of that side panel design so it stays close to your body. I think this is what we would call the ideal backpack. And it's not made out of like the lightest fabric possible. It's made out of, it looks like it's made out of Robic and some kind of sil nylon, ripstop nylon. And so even you can make a backpack, you can get a backpack that's under 10 ounces. There are some other companies, Mountain Laurel Designs, Nashville Packs, Yama Gear, Zimmer Built, all great companies. I just don't have them here. So, and I've used the Nashville pack. It's great. The shoulder straps are great. And you can see more of that on the handout. And then finally, let's talk a little bit about custom backpacks. I made a custom backpack with Dandy Packs. I also made a custom backpack for my last hike of the Pacific Crest Trail. I love this backpack. It's just made out of light DCF and really light mesh. This is like 6 ounces and it fell apart. And then with the Dandy Pack, I wanted to make it out of a new fabric called EP200 that feels sort of like a post office envelope. And the shoulder straps, the fabric itself is waterproof, and and my sweat got into the shoulder straps through the seams because the seams weren't taped, and sort of like stained the shoulder straps and looked terrible. And so the lesson for this is that although when you're making a custom backpack, you can solve all the problems that you've run into with other backpacks, there's sort of an infinite number of little things, and you'll probably not be able to catch everything. So you'll have a backpack that solves a lot of the unique problems that you've had. It's made specifically for you, but you can't sort of foresee some of the other problems that the backpack will have. And so because it hasn't been iterated, you might get a backpack that has some problems. And so I think you should totally make a custom backpack. Just know it's likely not going to be that perfect backpack. This is a series because I'm really trying to figure out what it is that's getting in the way of people who want to go ultralight, getting in the way of them going ultralight. And I think one of those things is just being a little overwhelmed by the options. And so I'm going to make some videos with guidelines and suggestions for all the major pieces of gear. So thanks a lot.